these are the different components that the executive summary should have at a minimum. First is a company description, including the value proposition. The value proposition and elevator pitch means, I'll explain that more in depth. You want to have a customer and market analysis, including potential market sizing analysis, competitive advantage, management team, financial model, investment needs, and current stage of development. So I'll discuss what all these different components are, but go to the website where the business plan competition requirements are listed. You'll get familiar with this. Make sure you're not forgetting anything. Remember, if you're not hitting any of these points, then you're going to look worse compared to the other entrants who do, right? So you want to be able to make sure that you're filling all the requirements. Okay. Now the audience. You always want to be very aware of who you're writing for. In this particular case, you'll be writing for a panel of judges. Last year we had VCs, government funders, entrepreneurs, lawyers, etc. Henry, for example, was on the, from TEDCO, who just was up here before me, was one of the judges. We've also had VCs, entrepreneurs who've done it before, lawyers who are involved in intellectual property or in venture capital transactions. So these are the guys that you want to be writing for, right? Now, what does that mean? Well, you know, if you guys are writing a very technical, doing a very technical startup, you know, you don't see anybody on here who's necessarily a technical person, right? So you want to be able to write something that, you know, that is non-technical, that someone who is, you know, intelligent and maybe knows things about the business area or about the legal area, or may have started a business before, or has read a lot of different business plans before, would understand. You know, you don't need to go into the details of your technology too much. Okay? The criteria that they'll be judging you on is listed here, and again, this is on the website, but the strength of your value proposition, how you differentiate yourself from the competition, what your, whether your target markets that you've selected are receptive to new entrants, what the market size, etc. Again, go to the website and get familiar with what these criteria are, and write your executive summary to answer these kinds of questions. Okay. I want to mention a couple companies that actually came through the business plan competition last year and have done very well. So there were two finalists here that I'm going to mention. One is called Trafax and one is called Recensus. They are actually both second place finishers in their respective categories. But they've gone on to achieve some really great success in just the less than 1 year since they won the business plan competition. Both of them, not so coincidentally, I think, were also part of the VentureAccelerator program. So I'm also kind of giving a pitch for my VentureAccelerator program. But you see up here kind of what the elevator pitch is for each of these companies. Trafax has developed a patent-pending system that enables the real-time monitoring of vehicle traffic for reducing traffic congestion and pollution. Right? So that's the elevator pitch. After you read that one sentence, I think most of you should have a pretty good idea about what they do. Hopefully, you agree that it's a big problem as well. Everybody's sat in traffic before, right? These guys are saying that they've got a solution to reducing the amount of time you're spending in traffic and also reducing pollution. So this is what we would say is, you know, I think is a pretty good elevator pitch. Recensus, the other company, they offer a patent-pending solution for the persistent structural health monitoring of bridges that can predict and prevent potential collapses long before they become disasters. Okay? So what we're looking at here is a system that will enable you to predict whether a bridge needs to be, you know, maintained, needs to be evacuated, etc., before it collapses. And again, I think most of you would agree that this is a really pressing issue, that they're addressing an important problem. And in fact, it's an area that's been identified by the federal government as a critical national need, and you'll see that it's a big part of the stimulus package, right? So again, I think what both of these companies have done, they're addressing big important problems in growing markets, and something, and here they've distilled it into a very easy to understand and digest you know, sentence to get people interested in wanting to learn more. At least I'm hoping that's what you're thinking as well after you look at this. Just to get back to that. So Trafax has gone on, they graduated from the program, they've gone out, and both of these companies have raised, 6 figures in terms of additional funding. They've got customers, they've raised SBIR money, they've raised MIPS money, et cetera. So these companies are doing really well from being really just started last year through the business plan competition. So these are real companies that have come out of this process. Okay. Now, components of the executive summary. These are the basic components that I'll be talking about. It doesn't have to be in this order. Well, introduction, of course, and the problem statement solution should all come in that order. But there's no set template. These are just different points that you need to address as you're putting together your executive summary. And so I'm just going to, these aren't necessarily subject headings, but these are just things that you need to talk about. Now, with the introduction, that should be kind of the elevator pitch sentence that I just talked about with Trafax and Recensus. Here, you're trying to command the reader's attention with what you think is the most compelling aspect of your venture. Now, that can vary. I mean, it could be the fact that you have you have 10 patents already filed. It could be that you've got a Nobel Prize-winning advisor on your team. It could be that you've got already 5 customers lined up who are willing to write a check as soon as you're able to hit a certain milestone. I mean, it really depends on what you think is the most compelling point about your company at this point in time, this very early stage, right? So this is what you want to do. Ideally, what you're trying to do is make this statement, that you have a unique and defensible solution to a big problem in a growing market with a world-class team and executable strategy, okay? Now, that's obviously very difficult to do at this stage, but there are aspects of that you should be able to address to get somebody interested in wanting to learn more, into wanting to help you, or wanting to see what the next step that you're trying to do is. So what do I mean by a unique and defensible solution? Well, you have to be different from what other people are doing out there, right? So you have to be unique. If you're saying, I'm going to do the same thing as Amazon.com, right? That's just not going to excite anybody, okay? It's not credible, it's just not exciting. But even if you do have something that's completely unique, you need to be able to say that it's defensible. And what do I mean by that? Well, you need to say, I have this unique solution, and if I'm successful, I'll be able to defend up against other people copying me, right? There's something about my team, there's something about my technology, there's something about my model that's going to make it difficult for somebody else to follow me. Because if you are successful, believe me, there'll be people who are going to try to take your market away from you, right? So it's not enough just to say, yep, I've got a unique solution. You've got to also be able to say, yep, I've got a unique solution, and no one can copy me. I mean, that's the ideal situation. Of course, that's never the case. You can always be copied, but how can you defend against that?